Initiating moisture.
I watched the first season of Game of Thrones years ago and I didn't really care for it, so I never went back to it. And I also hate that idea of, oh, you have to just watch, 80 episodes before it really gets good. Just, get through the first 80 episodes and you'll like it. Well, fuck you. At that point, you're just convincing yourself you like it because you put so much time into it. It's not worth watching 80 episodes of something you don't like just to start to get fucking Stockholm Syndrome into liking it. So after watching season 1, I never touched it again all those years ago until now. Jackson recently, made a very convincing argument with season 8 rolling around to catch up and watch all of it. So Jackson twisted my arm and my cock to watch all of Game of Thrones and catch up. So that's what we've been doing. We've been binging Game of Thrones and we just finished season 1 and we're going to moist meter every individual season. And I'm happy to say I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't remember what I didn't like about Game of Thrones all those years ago, but I'm happy I've gone back to it. So Jackson and I are going to do this together. I'm going to give my thoughts and he's going to give his because he's a fucking expert in Game of Thrones. This man studies Game of Thrones like it's a fucking college course in the history of Game of Thrones. He knows everything about it inside and out. He could probably tell you every little piece of George R.R. Martin's colon if you asked him. This man has done his homework, so I wanted him to help me with this to really give an accurate moist meter score for season by season. My thoughts on season 1 are it is extraordinary in set design, costuming, and acting. It is so goddamn impressive what they've done here. Every scene really feels like it fits in the time period, all the costume, even the way they speak, all of it just sounds so fucking appropriate for the time period. Not that I, lived back then or have a fucking crystal ball that I could look back in the past on and see how it actually was, but I feel like this is probably how it actually fucking was. I feel like there's a time traveler on staff here that's really making it super accurate. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane what they've done for a TV show. This is the kind of shit you can't even capture in movies half the time, and they're doing it beautifully in this show. It's really, really good. Second to none. I can't think of another show that reaches the level that this does with its set design and costuming. Acting, there's plenty of other shows with great acting, even though this one is really good. But those two things, the set design and costuming, is beyond anything else on TV. Now, I want to get into a couple complaints. The thing I really didn't like a lot about season 1 was the sword fighting. The actual action scenes I thought were super lackluster for the most part, save for a couple of good fights here and there. But when there is action, it's pretty childish. It looks like you're watching two kids playing with toy lightsabers. They'll throw one sword swing, they'll block the sword swing, then they just both stand there looking at the swords, and then all of a sudden one guy brings his sword down on the other guy and it's over. It's really underwhelming, it's really boring, and it looks really, really bad. Because, someone throws a sword, he blocks it, and then now the guy's just standing there like a fucking statue. He's not moving, his swordsman blocks it, now his fucking brain shuts off. Just standing there like a mindless zombie who then gets killed. It's really not well done. I'm hoping they get better throughout the next couple of seasons, but for season 1, it was really bad watching the actual sword fighting stuff happen. And also, I didn't like how, and I'm assuming it's because of budgeting, they'd have these big landmark battles, where they capture Jaime Lannister, and they don't show you anything. They just, all of a sudden, here's Jaime Lannister, and they tell you what happened. They don't show you anything. And I'm guessing it's because of budgeting, but that still can't help but be disappointed. Another complaint I have is the show overloads you with characters. They give you so many names that they expect you to remember just by saying it one time. And that wouldn't be too bad if the names were a little easier to remember, but because they give the whole title, Turbo Virgin House of Clan Weeb, and then they'll never mention that entire title again. They'll just mention him by, Turbo V or something. It makes it hard to keep track of the characters. So oftentimes, the scene will have them talking about a character that you've seen before, you've met, but you have no idea who they're talking about because you don't know them by name, or they're not giving the whole title like they did the first time, thus you're a little lost. It's very, very hard to remember all of the characters, especially when they're only very vaguely being talked about, but they become very important for the conversation and the overall plot, so it gets frustrating to get lost like that. But the story is absolutely fantastic. I'm totally invested in it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. There's a lot of big moments in the show, and it doesn't pull any punches. A lot of characters die that you don't expect will die. It was really fucking gripping. I don't know why I didn't fall in love with the story the first time around. Really, maybe I was just watching this with my fucking eyes closed. I don't know, because I don't even remember the complaints I had about it now, but I fucking love the storytelling. I love the world building, making it all feel so full. I also like that they don't do a whole bunch of flashback shit, they don't do any flashback shit, really. If they're going to talk about a character's past, they tell the story, and they tell the story of the past really, really well. It's like listening to your fucking grandfather tell you a bedtime story. It's beautiful. It feels nice to listen to. And you can picture the scenario in your head, Ned talking about when they went into battle with Robert, when they were overthrowing the Mad King. They tell you this story, and you visualize it because they tell it so well, and the way they act with their facial expressions makes you feel the characters' emotions during the fight and what they thought during the fight. It's fucking great, and I really like that little detail, because I think flashbacking would probably take away from it overall. Another thing I'd really like to make note of is the music. The music in this show is absolutely beautiful. Truly magnificent stuff in that department. Really enjoyed the score. And that's really like my whole thoughts on season 1. I think overall it was an extremely enjoyable season. I don't know what issue I had with it back those years ago when I watched it. It was like 4 years ago now. Maybe I was just in a bad mood, like my dick wasn't as big as I thought it was or something. I don't know. But it really is not bad. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and let Jackson take it away here and give you like the super nerdy thoughts on it. So go ahead, Jackson. It's your turn.
Hey guys, it's Jackson here. I don't know what nerdy details he wants me to tell you, so I'm just going to give my review of season 1, I guess. Game of Thrones is one of the largest and most popular series on television for a good reason. The showrunners made a very strong choice in season 1 to stick extremely close to the source material that the show is adapted from, and this decision pays back in spades as it tells a harrowing story of one man's effort to serve both his family and his realm with honor. This season and series has some of the strongest characters of pretty much any television show, and that, along with the set design and costuming that Charlie mentioned, create an incredibly gripping series of hour-long episodes. Not only are the characters entertaining as fuck to watch, they're all acted superbly and have some really rich character development. In a season that is very much setting the stage for seasons to come, it still feels like a lot directly happens, and there are many moments that define the series as a whole. I've watched season 1 and read the book several times over, and I still find it hard to tear my eyes away from the screen when the show is on. The characters are just so damn gripping and grounded and well written. The casting in this is also very strong. Every actor portrayed their character so well that I find it very hard to imagine them as anyone else now. Standouts are Sean Bean as Lord Eddard Stark and Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister, the ruthless lord of House Lannister, who absolutely commands every scene he is in. But honestly, there's just not a bad actor in this season, and everyone breathes so much life into their characters. Kit Harington in particular kills his role as Jon Snow, bastard son of Eddard Stark, and goddamn, he's so good looking. Some people call Game of Thrones fantasy, and it definitely does become that in later seasons, but this first season is a pretty genuine period piece / political drama, in my opinion, as you watch the warring houses fight battles between each other more from the shadows. The dialogue is witty, the pacing is excellent, and the twists and turns are devious, definitely so in this season. The only downside I can think of for myself is that there were some obvious limitations placed on some fight / battle scenes due to what I imagine would have been budget constraints, considering this is the first season. But it would have been nice to see those scenes, especially with the same detail and effort that went into creating the later fights in future seasons.
Now Jackson's gonna give the Moist Meter score, which is a combination of his thoughts and mind, using some very advanced mathematics and algorithm to calculate in a very accurate moisture score with our two combined thoughts on it. And we're going to do this for every season leading up to season 8 and including season 8. So buckle the fuck up, because there's going to be quite a few of these. I'm binging this shit hard. We're going to get there by episode 2, hopefully.
So yeah, doing all that scientific shit, Charlie and I were able to determine the moisture rating of season 1, and it's sitting at about an 85%. This season is great. There's not a singular bad episode in the bunch. Most of them would be rated around 80 to 90%, with episode 7, 9, and 10 easily earning a 95%, as they're some of the best content that's ever been produced for television. All in all though, season 1 gets an 85%. Like Charlie said, we'll be reviewing each season as we finish binging it, so we'll see you soon with season 2.